Listen up, get ready, I'm not gonna take no more. There's a revolution, a revelation going on in my soul. Buckle up, get ready, we're not gonna sit back. Okay, all you citizens of the world, welcome back to Live from the Heartland, the second half of the show for the week of the 31st of January. And once again, it's the one and only, the incomparable Don Rose with a little bit of analysis about all things political. And one of the things that's on a lot of our minds, and we expect, but I'm not sure if we're rooting for it or not, but will Trump go too far? I was watching Nicole Wallace yesterday, and one of the things that they kept bringing up was how a lot of people were all about deporting violent immigrants, but they're not so big on all the things that Trump is doing. But the question they raise, do people really care that much? Even if they don't really like what's going on, are they impassioned or do they care? What do you got to say about what's going on, Don?
Oh, well, it's clear there's basic support for these deportations, and they're trying to exploit it, having Dr. Phil there with a camera to watch the agony.
I hate that guy.
Oh, yeah, of course. Oprah has done some wonderful things, but when it comes to introducing characters like Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz, she's done us a great disservice. But that's to another side. I think the areas to look for where he is not going to be able to help and where his actions are probably going to make things worse are in the economy. First of all, there was nothing he has ever been able to do about grocery prices, although he promised to do something on day one, and all they've done is continue to go up. Prices, if he imposes these tariffs, prices beyond the grocery store, for new cars, for your refrigerator, for whatever, are going up. And I think this is the area where he is going up the wrong path and is not going to meet expectations, and I think people may get hip to that. As I say, there are things that they basically support that he's doing, but when you promise that you're going to lower prices at the grocery store and you're going to make things better, and he can't and he won't. So I am, what should I say? Lousy as it is, I am optimistic. I'm optimistic that he has already gone too far and things are going to catch up with him, which makes it probably easier, hard to look ahead for 2 full years, but probably has already enhanced the potential for taking back the House.
One of the good signs that I got from this new, it's a new website called the Midas Touch Network. I saw it there in a few places, is in Kansas. There was an election for a state senator in a district that Trump won by 21%. This was, I think, yesterday. We're recording a couple days earlier. And the Democrat won by a large margin. I don't know if that is an indication of what's to come, but we do have 2 congressional races coming up right now in Florida. We have people meeting about immigration and about swing states, again, getting ready for 2026 elections. What's your basic take on all that? We also have Peters the senator from Michigan is not going to run. So getting ready for elections, where are you at?
I do not expect to take back the Senate, and it's made even harder with Peters, although Michigan has done pretty well in local elections. The only thing we've been hurt in Michigan is the actual presidential, and but in the presidential before that, it was one of our biggest victories. So
I think Pete Buttigieg is talking about running, right? He moved from Indiana to Michigan.
Yeah, to Michigan. That would be a good possibility. He seems to be very popular, and there's always the question that you have to ask, just like when a woman runs, can a woman win this office? Well, can a gay man, an openly gay man, win this office in this environment we're in? So we don't know until it happens. And he's otherwise a splendid candidate, very popular, and he has never been afraid to go on Fox News and answer questions. And, he makes a very serious impression. So if that comes to pass, we've got, I would consider, a reasonable shot there. But it's the House that I am more optimistic about winning, and we have to see how the races boil down. But people are many Congress people from borderline states, swing states, marginal states, are going to have to carry on their backs all these ridiculous candidates they've been putting up. Hegseth is not important to the average voter, and probably even a lot of Republicans don't like him, and they know some of these other people are pretty nutty. We've got one of the worst coming up with Kash Patel for the FBI. So the general popularity of the Trump administration is at this point sinking, and I don't see any sign that they're interested in recovering. So, this is all 2 years in advance, but
we have hope.
Keep hope alive.
Let me ask you, Don, what are your thoughts on the Trump letting out everyone from the January 6th insurrection, and what are the ramifications and the threat from what he did? I know one guy already got shot, and someone else was arrested. I mean, it's something else having all these people on the loose. Your thoughts?
Well, let's look at the kind of person who participates even in a particularly violent uprising. These people ain't your sweet aunt, and they're likely to get into more trouble. And I think, once again, even those people who did not see too much horror in the in the uprising of January 6th are themselves opposed to having let people off who participated in violence, and particularly against police. Right. So I think his overly broad stroke. He promised to let off the nonviolent people, and people want to go along with that. I don't particularly, but again, he's going too far, and I think he loses many of his people by letting off people who have fought police. So, the normal Republicans who vote for him and for others, there are normal Republicans, they're not all MAGA, didn't like that idea. And you heard that even from some senators. It didn't stand in the way. There was nothing they could do about it. But once again, it's his overreach that is probably going to help him lose the House. Could go all the way to the Senate, depending on what he does. Some of these senators look like fools.
They do.
Yeah. So.
Well, another thing that Trump seems to have done was to just, throw out a million things and make everybody crazy. But we've seen already a federal judge pull back, at least for a few days, on Trump's suspending of all federal funding, put a freeze on it. And then we see Rubio, who is now, I guess, I don't know who's going to run for that Senate seat, but he is Secretary of Affairs or whatever it's called these days. And he had to back down on a near total foreign aid freeze, issued some kind of humanitarian waiver. Are those examples of people of Trump going too far?
Well, these are clearly illegal acts. And the question is, will they be upheld as illegal, or will we get a turnaround when they go to court over this thing? You can't stop. In Trump's case, you can't stop money that's already been approved by the Congress and is supposed to be paid out. There may be some emergency law or something that somebody's going to find that permits at least some of what he's doing. But this is an area where, in the normal course of things, these actions would be stopped because they're clearly illegal. So again, that halts some of the damage. The problem that we face is how much damage is done during the interregnum, where we wait for all these things to go to court. And what's going to happen with the Supreme Court? Are they going to give him a total pass, or are they finally going to stand up, as they have on a couple of issues?
What's your sense on that?
Well, being an optimist, which I think you have to be in our business, I think this combination of Roberts and the woman Barrett,
that's our hope.
That their hope, and maybe even one or two of the others. I have no hope for Alito ever doing anything decent, nor Thomas. But
you haven't given up.
We will see how depraved they have all become, and I think the fact that he is in what should be his last term. Now that he's there, we hope. Yeah.
Let me throw a couple more at you. Like we have the situation where Mitch McConnell, who just kept sticking it to us since he's been in office, all of a sudden voting with two women, both the senators from Maine and Alaska. Opposing the nominee for the head of the Department of Defense. Now, it's a little bit late, and I'm not thinking he's become a new person. But is that a good sign? And is it a good sign that I think it was a woman senator from maybe South Carolina or something challenged the Air Force's dropping of the Tuskegee Airmen film in their training program? So
and they brought it back.
Yeah, they did bring it back. So I'm just wondering, these are little signs. You even had that guy in South Carolina, what's his name, the senator, who we used to have hopes for. Even he was a little critical of some stuff, I think.
Mitch McConnell is a free man. He's in his last term. He's got a couple of years. And all through the time, he was a Republican leader and went along with Trump, although he has absolutely no use for Trump himself. He is somewhat of an institutionalist in his own way. And so I think we could see, I don't know if he is going to become the tip of the spear, but we see a potential opposition leader with McConnell. And particularly, not only does he dislike Trump and would probably seriously disagree with most of these appointments, but he also has a grudge against him because Trump has spoken very, very nasty things about his wife.
Who is, I think, Chinese, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to throw another one at you. How do you think Jack Smith will be remembered? They're after him right now. They're initiated a probe of the January 6th prosecutions. I kind of like Jack Smith, and I'm hoping someday he'll be on the Supreme Court. But what are your thoughts on how he'll be remembered?
Well, long term, he'll certainly be remembered as a good guy. Probably, I don't think they can do anything to him other than continue to yell about him if they think they have to do that. But I think the episode is going to fade. He is a good guy. He's certainly Supreme Court quality. How far he wants to go? Does he ever want to run for office? Hard to tell. So I think in the long run, I don't think they can damage him much, and unless again they wind up with some phony judge like that woman down in Florida doing her own kind of support for Trump, which is just a crime in itself. So,
one of the things that has been in the news, and I think it's concerning to me, is a total wipeout of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion legislation, restrictions, all that kind of thing. And we've seen a capitulation on the part of all kind of large corporations, including McDonald's and Target. The one holdout, and I'm going to go renew my membership real soon,
Costco. Yeah. No, I wrote a column about that a couple of weeks ago. And I think this is a serious loss, and it's taken a toll already. We've seen college admissions of, let's use the old term, minorities, have dropped. You've got fewer blacks, Latinos. I don't think women are being discriminated against as badly as once, but certainly black and Latino admissions have already gone down. And in this world where DEI is now being abolished left and right, we're going to be hurting for the next 4 years.
Yeah, and what about the MAGA base? My wife told me earlier this morning, she's been coaching me sometimes before we go on the air, about a new website called leavingmaga.org. And they basically talk about how Trump and the MAGA has sustained a series of myths, intended perpetual desperation and panic. Your take on MAGA, that base, and will it stand or will it start to fade away?
Well, I think some of the things we talked about where the economics start to hurt may help increase that. I don't think I don't expect to see much of this done on, quote, moral principles, but some of that base has to get hip to the fact that he is unable, and in some cases really unwilling, to keep the promises that he made. And for the same reasons that I think we can take back the House if the trends that we see continue. Yes, it'll certainly weaken the MAGA base. They don't want higher prices. Now, there's a certain cruelty there that, part of the MAGA base loves the cruelty of the deportations and will relish Dr. Phil's movies about it. But once again, I got back to the almighty dollar, and he is bound to hurt the dollar. He's bound to hurt prices. And even though he's told not to, by some, not to impose these tariffs, we don't know how hard-headed he's going to be. But that's a glide path to economic catastrophe.
How about your thoughts on the stance by the Democrats going forward? A lot of them, there's some who have sort of capitulated like big corporate guys. There's some who are taking some kind of a critical stance. What do you think ought to be the position of Democrats? I mean, we ran on a lot of principled issues, in the past, saving democracy, the whole question of transgender care for youth, which is now restricted. What's your take on what would you suggest as an advisor to Democratic politicians, particularly in the House, but also anywhere, what they ought to do and how tough they ought to be?
I think we have to steel ourselves to the idea of setting aside, not abandoning, but setting aside issues like transgender, where we're clearly in a minority, and at least go along with the concept of deporting criminals, but not give in to the idea that simply because you have crossed the border without papers, that makes you automatically a criminal. That's their counter charge. But I think we have to zero in on the issues that are going to hurt them and not try to redefend or run again on some of these moral issues. I mean, I hate to say it. I have every sympathy for the whole transgender question, but the more we harp on that, the more we hurt ourselves. So it's a tough call. And I feel lousy saying set aside a moral issue, but we've got to focus more sharply on the issues that make him vulnerable, not the issues that make us vulnerable.
Well, give us how people can get your column each week, Don. How would they do that?
Send me an email with your email on it, and I'll sign them up. Send my email donrose65@AOL, and one way or another, within a few days to a week, they will start getting my column in the mail. In the meantime, if they're on Facebook, they can always see it on Monday afternoons, and it usually stays. I have an open posting on Facebook as well.
Don Rose, it's always a pleasure talking to you.